special order discussion items, special order council member reports out for the Michigan Municipal League, the MML Convention 2025, a 30-minute special order to allow the following council members 5 minutes each to discuss or provide reports concerning the 2025 Michigan Municipal League Conference. This is just a report out on how training dollars were spent, how taxpayer dollars were spent, and how council, who all went to training, what they did during training. Councilwoman Johnson, you have 5 minutes if you so choose.
Well, civility in your community, should we agree or disagree? During this conversation section, I gained a deeper understanding of how civility, ethics, and strong leadership are established.
Oh, can you pull your mic closer to your face, please?
Closer to the mic. They can't hear it.
Civility in your community, should we agree to disagree? During this convention section, I gained a deeper understanding of how civility, ethics, and strong leadership are established to encourage a respectful and effective working environment in local government. I learned how incivility can damage public trust, increase stress amongst officials, and hinder the council's ability to function effectively. Moving forward, I plan to engage with my colleagues through active listening, respectful dialogue, even during disagreements, and share commitment to serve our community with integrity by modeling professionalism and mutual respect. I aim to encourage us to love thy neighbor as we love thyself and help strengthen the overall effectiveness of Flint Community City Councilman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson. Councilwoman Priestley, you have the floor.
Thank you. So the theme for this year's convention was grassroots, basically. Every session that I attended, except for the budgeting one, which I moderated, was about the grassroots starting and developing and working through issues. Especially interesting was the final closing session where people were talking about how in a community there was a lack of benches for people to sit. And so they developed, some guy built benches and they raised money and it just grew. And the city never moved a single bench. They saw a need, they filled it. They didn't ask permission, they did it. Hint, hint, hint. Also, I found it very interesting, the housing with the pre-approved plans for single-family homes as well as duplexes in Jackson, and what was the other one? Do you remember what city it was, LaShawn? LaShawn and I. Kalamazoo. And how they went through and went through everything, and actually Kalamazoo actually had lots that they could sell at a reduced cost. Also, they reduced the cost for hookups to the water and stuff like that to enable the price to be more affordable to newer residents. It was an honor to be chosen as a moderator for the budgeting. It's a shame that I was the only one there, but from our council. But it was good information, and it wasn't about how to read a budget. It was how to prepare a budget, and I found that fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I want to say that the Michigan Municipal League convention, it was a good convention. Every time I go to that convention, I learn something new. However, we have not in the past reported out here at council. So I'm trying to understand, why are we reporting out now? I mean, I think that there should have been a report when Councilwoman Lewis and Councilwoman Mouchette went to Iowa. They used taxpayers' money. I think it should have been a report from last year's convention when I believe Councilwoman Lewis, Councilwoman Priestley, and Councilwoman Mouchette went to Mackinac Island to the Michigan Municipal League convention. There should have been a report. However, I will give my report. The sessions focused on practical tools for strengthening Michigan cities, with topics ranging from housing and sustainability to technology and economic development. And must I mind you that each council member that went to the convention, we could choose whatever sessions that we wanted to go into. So Judy, we did not have to choose the session that you moderated. I just want to point that out. But one of the standout breakout sessions that I went to that I really enjoyed was the session on civility in your community. And I think Councilwoman in the 3rd Ward, she pointed out some key points, so I will not, point those out again. However, I do want to say one of the takeaways was that the session reinforced that elected officials set the tone. When leaders model civility, communities are more engaged. They're more trusting and willing to work together. And the key strategies from this session: disagreeing without disrespect, following parliamentary procedure to maintain order, respecting citizen input while keeping meetings productive, and modeling ethical conduct to set the tone for the entire community. The convention also emphasized Michigan's thriving communities framework, a statewide push to link local government action with state-level support around core areas such as health, housing, infrastructure, and arts and culture. In short, the convention reinforced that leadership requires vision, collaboration, and above all, civility. Without civility, even the best ideas cannot take root. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Burns, you have the floor.
Thank you. And you said it very well. I do want to echo that. One thing I will say that out of the civility and bridging new gaps or making communication, being there, I was able to have a good conversation with Councilwoman LaShawn Johnson. And I appreciated having that conversation with you. And it was good. So we talked, it was ethics and civility. Ethics and civility, and literally, there was so much the tone, how to run effective meetings, the presiding officer. Your tone sets the tone of the meetings, and we know that our meetings have been a problem. Influences the perception of the council and of your city. And what I learned is a lot of people actually watch our meetings. Yes. A lot. And I was really surprised, and it's almost like a line drawn, and it's like a line drawn, and I was really, it would have been, it's kind of like winning the lotto with the Powerball if we could have come back with something else to work with, but you can see we came back the same way that, we went, right. And that's unfortunate because there was so much, the art and how projects brought things together. They had a tall tin man where the community said, we're going to set aside all of our differences and come together to work, to come together. And look, and I'm talking, and she's talking. This is just disrespect. Yeah, it's that, you're fine, yeah. Yeah, and so when we go to these conferences, we have to find something that we can come back better as and to improve. And listening to the people who watch our council meetings and learning from what they see, because their vision is different. They don't deal with the issues that Flint deals with. And people think that Flint is fixed, and it's not. People have this perception that we can drink from the water and from the tap, and we can't. And so when we have these issues and people are understanding and people saying, you know what, don't give up the disrespect that you get from the president and the vice president, don't give up. And the people, this was a lot. This was a lot. And then even during the breakout session, our interim president asked the question that I, get paid for my podcast, and I don't. Never took a dime. Never took a dime. And at a meeting that we were there to learn and grow something from. They had just spoke about ethics and what's ethical, and that you should not be profiting from your seat or voting on your own resolutions. And they said that was unethical. And this was a part of it at the beginning, because the seminar was in principles of conduct, proper conduct, keeping promises, being dependable, building a solid reputation, participating and being available, demonstrating patience, showing empathy, holding on to ethical principles under stress, listening attentively, studying thoroughly, keeping integrity intact, overcoming discouragement. And there were so many things. And one thing, Grand Rapids is you feel safe in that city. And you feel safe, and it's clean. Having a clean city, and even like the nightlife for the young people, they live in their best lives. The cafes and restaurants are open. It's a safe city. But we have to be mindful of our conduct. And as we see here tonight, we went there to learn and to bring back one, which was a part of the civility, is to show empathy and have patience. We did not get the tools that we really needed. We did not. And so I want to say to the art projects they have, some wonderful art projects, and we had the murals. There's over 300 murals with Joe Shapani that have been around Flint, and they have done some beautiful projects and working together. I'd like to see us do that.
Thank you. Council President, Dr. Liddell Lewis, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. So, and it definitely was a privilege to be able to attend. The first thing is that, it's a great opportunity that the citizens know what we learned on their dime. So this session is, greatly appreciated. In addition to, just want to say this for clarity, we also spoke on it, what we did in Iowa. We spoke on the fact that we went there and gave a presentation about the water lab being the first only certified community water lab in the city of Flint, and also its impact in the second ward in which it resides. And so through that, we made a lot of contacts and connections that we still use, so we can help other communities prepare and also engage so they can have a great water lab as well. So that was what we learned in Iowa, just getting a little backtrack since people don't remember. And then the other piece was when we went to Mackinac Island, not only did we come back with a report, we came back with grant dollars. And so we're so happy that we were able and afforded the opportunity to go back again, because I know at first our colleagues were recommending that we withdraw the training dollars and forego them, and I know other colleagues were not utilizing these funds, and so I was so happy to see colleagues take advantage. So such as Councilwoman Burns, Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, Priestley, myself, as well as our newly elected 3rd Ward Councilwoman, LaShawn Johnson. So it was great seeing you there as well, and the fact that you pressed to go, so it was great seeing you there and seeing you interact with individuals, that are in this seat and your willingness to learn. All right, so going back to this, so I noticed the mural on the wall. That was a great presentation because, like Councilwoman Burns said, it spoke to what we have going on right now. We are ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. So, Flint, we may have our challenges, but at the same time, we're doing a lot of things right. So yes, Mr. Joe Shapani, he left a rich legacy of murals, and I know Sandra Branch, I believe, she's also involved and engaged in that space. But we also bring in many other peoples to help create these murals that we see on Martin Luther King, that we see on Saginaw Street. So these are great pieces of work, and a lot of them are done by local artists. So that was a great thing. The other thing that I saw was, I was also at the session that dealt with civility in your community. Should we disagree? Should we agree to disagree? And the great part about that is it emphasized the fact that we can disagree, but doesn't mean that we have to disconnect. Oftentimes, when someone don't agree with someone, they take it as a form of, now you're becoming my enemy. But no, we're just sharing other points of view. And so they were saying that, the MML, that they receive a lot of things, such as they're hearing that questions such as, what to do about council members who are just rude and abusive. What to do when our audiences at our meetings are horribly disruptive and frequently downright rude. What do we do? What do we do? So they were offering a safe place to give us this viable feedback. And so one of the things that I was able to do, I was able to reach out to the colleagues in the room and to ask them about ethics and one of the ethical concerns that we have here. And so since Councilwoman Burns brought it up, we're talking about, being able to monetize from our elected seats. I wanted to know if that was happening in other areas. And unfortunately, they had no clue what I was talking about. They were really shocked. So we're the first in that as well. But the good part is I'm looking forward to continuing to work with the Michigan Municipal League to work on ethics policy so we can make sure that we're standing in the front of that and that we are doing everything above board. Because one thing that they said was very paramount, and it was this: just because it is your right does not make it right. And so we want to make sure that we're operating in the best interest of the residents from our elected seats. So thank you so much, Councilwoman Machette, Madam Chair, for this opportunity.
Thank you. And the last person to take their 5 minutes to discuss the conference, that would be myself. I'm going to go ahead and take some time. I do want to reiterate something very important that Councilwoman Lewis said, is that anytime that we have gone to a conference, we have come back and we have reported out what we've done during those trainings. And so this is not anything unique. This is just us having an opportunity as council members who went somewhere on taxpayer dollars, because we hear so often, if you're going to these trainings, we need to hear what you've done at these trainings. So this is us letting you know what occurred while we were at training. One of the sessions that I went to was the creative storm water management. The reason that that session was important for me to go to is because during the fall season, one of the things that we deal with a lot here in the city of Flint is the backup of our sewer. And the reason we have that issue is because, one, you have people who are raking leaves or they're dropping trash or whatever the case may be. It causes a backup in our storm water management. I am a part of a group in which the city of Flint sewer department is a part of that group, as well as the Flint River watershed is also a part of that group. And we are basically looking at a way to do some stormwater management, making sure people know to clean the grates and make sure that we are not adding more polluting items to the grates, so that we're not having backups of water flow during the heavier rainy seasons. And so I had an opportunity to take a tour while I was in Grand Rapids, and they're doing some amazing work around stormwater management. They're also doing a lot of really good work around the green space. They have a energy company that was there since 1880 something on their oldest side in 1990. the top of the 1900s on their quote-unquote newer side, but they've been able to retrofit that so that they're able to lower their carbon emissions and put out more good green energy. And so I think that's something that we should be able to replicate in Flint, is to retrofit some of our older buildings so that we are not polluting our air, because we already know we've dealt with certain pollutants already. And so I had a great time on that tour. Also had an opportunity to visit the river that they had there and hear about the flood that occurred and why they now make sure that their river flows in a way that it doesn't cause a huge flood, because they had a huge flood issue a couple of years back. I also had an opportunity to go to the Thriving Communities for a Thriving Michigan. And again, that was something else that was also focused on infrastructure. One of the things that we know is that infrastructure around the country is very old, it's aging, it's antiquated, and it needs to be changed. It causes a lot of environmental issues, which causes a lot of health issues and impacts us in negative ways. We see things like poisonings and cancer happening because of the way infrastructurally a lot of things are set up. And so I had an opportunity to go and learn a little bit more about how we could better improve our aging infrastructure in the city of Flint. And so I'm really excited to build those connections and have those conversations. One of the things that's being pushed for right now that I know a lot of Flint residents will be very happy to hear is that there is a push for funding to go toward neighborhood roads. Right now, there's a lot of funding that only goes towards main streets. So we see a lot of main streets and they're being taken care of, the potholes are being handled, but what often does not get addressed are the neighborhood roads. We have a lot of streets in our neighborhoods where a lot of patchwork is happening. So we have it where it's like the gray asphalt, then you have like the black asphalt, or you have the cookie crumbles, or you just have the other pavement crumbles that happens a lot. And so to hear that there is a push to have funding for neighborhood roads is a good thing for Flint, because, neighborhood streets, because in the city of Flint, we have a lot of streets that do need to be taken care of. We have a lot of streets where the curb stops are not accessible. And so with that funding that may come down the pipeline for the state, that gives us an opportunity to improve the roads in our neighborhoods, as well as make our neighborhoods more accessible for people who are in wheelchairs, for people who are pushing strollers around, for some of our residents who are just a bit older and those curbs are a little bit higher to reach. And so there's a lot of great news happening infrastructure-wise in the state of Michigan, and I'm going to make sure that the city of Flint gets in on the dollars that we are owed from that. So that is my time. I do want to thank all of my colleagues at this time for sharing with us. First of all, I've already said that's my time. I am now speaking as the chair. RL, please. As I was saying, I want to thank my colleagues who attended the conference for taking this time to share. I want to thank my colleagues who did not have an opportunity to attend the conference with us this time for your patience as we report out.